God damn it! Did it just tell you again? It told you. What the fuck? God damn it!
It's like Ronnie. Are you in a safe place? Blink twice if you want to leave.
What's crazy? Like, this is another episode of the Ronnie and Markell podcast, Zoom edition. If you're a longtime listener, you know that plenty of times that we were doing the show in our original studio, the other two places that we've recorded the show, there's been plenty of times where Ronnie and me are just sitting there shooting the shit, talking, and I've already hit the record button because it's on the computer's on my side. So like our little conversation
you can't like surprise me anymore because on my end it's like he started recording.
If anybody else out there knows a way to make it so that you can record without letting the other attendants know, please let me know. Like, write it in the comments or something.
I think just for work purposes and stuff like that, I think it's always gonna let the other person know.
There's got to be a way, man. There's got to be a way. Well, we're back here again. Second time here on this Zoom edition of the Ronnie and Markell Make a Podcast show. Second time around. We got a lot of stuff to cover, but at the top of the show, we're going to dive deep into Loki episode 4, the Nexus event, which is a lot of shit changed pretty quickly in this show.
A lot of shit went down on that episode. Like,
yeah, a lot of stuff happened.
And in a grand holy shit moment in the end, like wow. But wait, going back to the beginning of the episode, I'm trying to remember how it started. Oh wait, so we picked up from where Loki and Sylvie were on Lamentus, and basically we were left thinking they were gonna die, but we know that wasn't gonna happen because there's like still 3 episodes. Well, 2 now. And
2 now. We're down to 2.
What is it? What was I? I think I was right. Didn't I say that Mobius was gonna save them?
Technically, we talked about that on here, which is the way that he was going to find them is based on the way Loki told them where they would be hiding, which is the Sylvie is running and hiding in the like different places that are going to have an apocalypse. Yeah. So he was able to find them. But interesting enough, he was able to find them because of a Nexus event that occurred, like a spike off of the sacred timeline that appeared,
which was also different than the other, like the episode where Sylvie dropped the bombs. Their Nexus event thing was different. It kind of went straight up instead of curve like the other ones.
Now, when they first did that, did you recognize immediately what that was in terms of what was happening, like what was causing that?
Nope. I had to watch that episode like 3 times, and then I was like, oh,
really?
Okay. I feel clearly. I didn't get that. I didn't even get the fact that it went straight up the first time. I'm like, oh, well, my second viewing, I was like, oh yeah, it was a little different than before, and then it was unrecognizable even to the TVA people.
At first, you know, it was weird. I know I'm gonna take it there because I'm that immature, but it's quite interesting that like the event was happening because of the feelings that those two were having for each other. But it was kind of interesting that like a man being involved in it, things started to rise.
But it's also weird too because I'm like, well, Sylvie is basically another version of him, so. Not only did Loki fall in, it seems like he's fallen in love, but technically, isn't he falling in love with himself?
In essence, is exactly what Mobius, and spoilers for, you know, if you're watching this, we're both assuming that you have seen this episode. If not, go watch it and then come back. But it's hilarious because when Mobius was mad at him, he literally was like, "Oh my God. Like, you are such a narcissist. You literally fell in love with yourself. Like, that's a true narcissist." But in essence, it kind of just goes to the fact that they're essentially Loki from different multiverses. Like, what's her name? The Ancient One talked about this before in Endgame, which I knew for a fact when they first had that conversation, and she was standing there talking to Professor Hulk, as he's called when he's in that form. When they were having that conversation, I knew that this was the key thing that was going to be the next phase of movies, which was, okay, so we are actually going to talk about all of these multiverses, you know, all basically on a singular time stream. But if something happens, then you saw the Black Line happen. And then I'm sitting in the theater watching Endgame like, so I wonder if we're going to explore those little branches that come off of that sacred time.
Oh, I'm pretty sure.
Like, I was just like, I'm pretty sure we're going to do
I think that they kind of got us good, too, because we all thought that WandaVision was going to be the show that led into all the multiverse and stuff. It looks like Loki's show is the one that's going to lead into all that stuff.
In essence, it seems to me like I honestly believe, because this happens over and over again, throughout comics. Anybody who knows Scarlet Witch is a constant back and forth. There's multiple things. Jean Grey and Scarlet Witch are two of the women in the X-Men universe that have died and came back multiple times. Very similar to how Loki keeps dying and coming back, which is, close to like his Norse mythology. That's closer to him having all of these rebirths and coming back.
But what about the fact that during that same conversation, Mobius mentioned about titans and creatures and vampires? Yes. I'm like, I was in front
of vampires.
Yeah, because I took it as the type of dialogue that they use. I'm like, they don't, same thing like back with what was it, Captain America's Winter Soldier, when he was like Stephen Strange. I'm like, they don't use the type of thing they use. By accident. They said vampires because they want your mind to run. You know that when it comes to Marvel in general, it's not just Bleed. It's not just the Inheritor. It's like this Morbius. There's like a shit ton of stuff they could be talking about. Correct. But you just got to keep tuning in to find out what they're talking about.
I mean, we already know that they are making a Blade movie. So the thing is...
And Morbius, which is already made.
Yeah, Morbius is already made with Jared Leto, which is a Blade villain. So, and a Spider-Man villain.
And then we also saw from the trailer of Morbius that it looks like they're going to try to connect the MCU to that, because we saw Michael Keaton show up in the fucking trailer.
Once again, I feel like we had this conversation offline, but we can have it, or we had it probably in an older episode. You can check us out on all of your wonderful platforms. Whether you're watching our faces or hearing us, you can go back and watch some of our older episodes where we talked about pretty much how a while back. We'll do the little like back in the day, like fingers. Back in the day when what was it? Far From Home came out. Sony tried to get big on Marvel. I'm gonna give you the hood version of what happened. Okay, Sony tried to get big on Marvel. Was like, oh yeah, you know what? We let you borrow Spider-Man, and now that Spider-Man's made $1 billion, so we take him back.
Yeah, they're like, we think we good. We gonna go our separate way now.
I think we're gonna go and make our own universe. Come on, guys, let's go. And Kevin Feige was like, oh, really? Okay, cool. Well, let's see how that works out. And they just kind of, Bob Iger and everybody just like, okay, yeah, sure. Go ahead, do that. They let the fans eat them alive, so much so that literally Tom Holland, the guy who's playing Spider-Man, come to them and say, like, please, like, stop fighting. Like, I want to be a part of this universe. Mom
and Dad, please, I just want to play.
Like, I don't want you guys to get a divorce. Now, unfortunately, in this situation, the scenario that came forth is, if I'm Marvel or if I'm Disney, Sony broke bad because we allowed them to. But going forward, we're going to make sure that they don't get a chance to break bad again. So what we're going to do is we're going to integrate ourselves so deeply into their worlds that they can't even think about trying to separate from.
They could still think about separating it all. It would fuck up a lot of stuff for them. And
like I said, all of the extra projects that you want, we will just say multiverse. And they go like, well, what about that Venom? No, that's not my Venom.
But like I said, just making it didn't make any sense, because just making movies with Spider-Man, how far can you go? Like, keeping the attention span of fans. How far can you? Maybe 3 movies, 4 before people get tired of seeing it, no matter how much new stuff you try to present. I think that's the benefit of how I think, Marvel Cinematic Studios. I think that's why everything is like, most of everything people watch is awesome, because you get a chance to refresh. Like, you're not continuously seeing just the same characters over and over again. You're getting Loki, WandaVision, Miss Marvel, you're and the other characters show up. So you keep refreshing like you refresh your laptop when you're trying to get a PlayStation 5. Which is still freaking sold out, which is insane.
Well, no, I will say this is a shameless plug for GameStop. GameStop sent me a link as a pro member because I'm high class. I'm a pro member. I pay that extra money per year for the discounts or whatever. They sent me a link like a couple days ago. It's like, hey, you want a PS5? I'm like,
oh wow.
Okay. It was only for pro members. So I clicked on the link and I went through the whole process. And I went all the way through to the point where I was supposed to put my card in, and I stopped. And I was like, oh, I just wanted to see if this was real. Like, I didn't know. So I think what they're doing now.
Speaking of while we're talking about Loki, is there a Loki video game? Like, there's no video game, like sort of similar to the show. No, sometimes when you have a show or a movie at the same time, they put out a game that's like, look, it's similar. I just wonder.
Last time I checked, Loki is not that important.
Okay.
It's not the Avengers. Loki is.
I mean, seeing what's going on with these multiverses, look like he's pretty damn important right now.
Pretty damn important in terms of opening the doors to multiverses. So, I understand that. I see what they're doing with the show. Honest to God, so let's say in terms of this episode, taking it from beginning to middle to end or whatever. Basically what happens in this episode is Loki and Sylvie gets saved by the TVA, brought back in. And basically the little seed that Sylvie planted in the previous episode about the TVA, the big secret and the big reveal was the variants. All of the people who work for the TVA are variants, and that they're basically being fooled by the TVA. And Ravonna Renslayer in this episode 4 doesn't make it any better. She reveals herself as the big bad villain.
How obvious was she in it? I always sort of suspected something about her from the door, but she was really obvious in this one, especially when she said, what the hell is her name? The other chick, the other soldier.
B20?
Yeah. When
B20,
she was saying B20, when Morbius is like, what happened to B20? Oh, she's dead. We had to just get rid of her. She went crazy. I'm what? Even I feel like that was a moment where Mobius and the fans were reacting at the same, what? What do you mean? She was fine. We just seen her with.
And my wife was sitting there looking at that yeah, no, she's not dead.
And
she was just fine.
I'll tell you, we've watched movies on TV so fucking long. Even the scene in the beginning when Ravonna goes into the room and we finally get to see the three the three timekeepers. Something even was fishy with that to me, because I was like, what if she's actually the bad guy and these things aren't what they seem to be? That's what I was thinking as you even went into the room.
When I saw that scene when she went into the room and they actually revealed the timekeepers, my first thought was, this is Wizard of Oz. That was my first thought. Was it's Wizard of Oz, where there's those guys looked weird, because I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I know Marvel will show you aliens. They'll show you blue people, purple people, people with tentacles, all kinds of stuff, and it's usually done really well. If you look at Gamora, she's an alien.
Yeah, even later on the episode, I know I'm jumping ahead. Even later on the episode, when they get back to the timekeepers and they get to speak, it was really hard to figure out what the fuck are they even saying. I was like, this is something ain't right here. I kept saying that to myself that whole time in that room. Something ain't right about these timekeepers. And then if they really are the timekeepers and all this shit is going on, they just sitting in chairs. That didn't make any sense to me. Just sitting here watching this shit go on.
It feels a lot like Oz in that sense of oh, okay. You know what? The big and powerful Oz is, behind this, and he's the master of all. You don't want to mess with him. And then it turns out it's not. I am literally waiting on the edge of my seat and excited to see what the heck this is. Next week's going to be amazing, just for the simple fact that we get Black Widow and the next episode of Loki in the same week.
Tell me, okay, now, I don't know if your heart jumped out of your chest like me, but that scene where Loki's standing there with Sylvie, and they're standing in that same fucking camera angle, It's like you've watched enough movies and TV shows to know there's like a camera angle to know something's about to happen and somebody about to get killed or stabbed or something, and they stand at this angle, and then they hit Loki with the fucking I forget what you call the nightsticks they were using, but he gets hit with it, and it stole my heart because I was like, oh, I was like, they killed Loki.
I don't think I'm gonna say that didn't steal my heart as much as for me. I'm gonna tell you when I saw spoilers again, when I saw Mobius gets zapped.
Oh, that too was like, oh shit.
That was a moment for me where I was like, these things aren't killing people, because there's no way you're gonna have that character talk about jet skis and like give that character some type of like purpose, and then all of a sudden hope, right? He's gone.
Kill him off. Yeah,
like it didn't make sense like plot wise. Where I was just like, okay.
And then I was telling you the other day that whole when the little reveal after credit when we found out Loki didn't really die. I said it made me think of the Sacha Baron Cohen movie, The Dictator.
Wait, before we get to that part, before we get to the reveal of the after credit scene, we can't miss a very funny part, but also a return of somebody we haven't seen in a long time. We saw Lady Sif. We haven't seen Lady Sif since freaking like Thor. Like that was
Mobius locks the scene where Mobius locks Loki in like his own personal torture or hell, right?
Yes, he locks him in his memory that he basically, which also let me do a little nerd push in my glasses. This happened in Norse mythology as well, where Loki, as a joke, cut Lady Sif's hair as a joke. Obviously, what she did in here was not a part of Norse mythology, which is punch him in the face and knee him in the crotch, which is one hell of a torture in the sense that you literally have to relive a memory over and over again until you basically just, go mad or crazy.
Did she look like she didn't age or anything since the last time we saw? When was the last time we saw Lady Sif? Was it like the second movie?
No, the second in a movie. It was Thor: The Dark World. In TV show, it was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She appeared on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, okay. That's the one. That's one show I haven't watched. Fans out there,
okay.
You can boo me if you want. I never got into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so it's
based on Kevin Feige, it's not canon. So you can watch it, but it's not canon. It was canon. It was canon when Winter Soldier came out, and then they realized the direction of where that show was going and the direction of where the MCU was going. It was like, yeah, bye guys. I'm gonna leave you down here with the Inhumans. Yeah.
Any chance that they might bring Coulson back though?
I'm pretty sure. I'm certain that they'll bring him back. For me, Coulson is probably gonna come back in Secret Invasion, which I definitely want to. We're gonna sidebar for just a second away from Loki. So I was reading something earlier today, and this is just a rumor. I don't remember the actor's name. You can probably look it up, and I'm just gonna say Shooter McGavin from
Happy Gilmore. That actor.
Did you read the rumor of who he's because he's in the Secret Invasion show? Did you read the rumor of who he's playing?
Nope, not at all.
It is rumored that Shooter McGavin, and I'm stalling for the time of you finding the actor's name.
Sorry, Christopher McDonald. I totally read his name, and then I was looking like, oh yeah, that actor. I'm like, oh yeah.
So Christopher McDaniel?
McDonald.
Christopher McDonald is rumored to be the MCU Norman Osborn.
Oh wow.
Now think about how much of a dick that guy is, and you're like, oh,
I can see that. I can definitely see that.
I'm looking at him, and I'm like, that guy's a dick in whatever he's in. Like, was he only in one Adam Sandler movie? I feel like that guy is.
He's been in other movies, but he's been a douchebag in more than one movie, though.
Yes. So I'm like, I could see him.
He was also in Flubber.
Yeah, like whatever. He's another one of those actors that have like just been a douchebag.
He was in The Faculty.
Yeah, old movie, man.
I didn't remember him in that. I'd have to look that up.
Yeah, so it's been rumored that he's the only. I just thought of that when you were talking about Coulson, because I feel like that would be a perfect spot to bring him back in as Coulson. If you want to bring him back, you can, or you could have him be a Skrull, like, bring him back. That's also, I have a theory on that as well. I believe that Sharon Carter is dead, and I think that the Sharon Carter that we met in Falcon and Winter Soldier is a Skrull. I don't actually think that's Sharon Carter.
You don't think? But isn't she the broker or whatever? She's probably the broker. I mean, that doesn't mean she's not a Skrull, but I think that
because it's like, I think she's the power. The thing that is interesting to me is like, who is she talking to on the phone? That's who we never learned that.
Oh, well, that's just them planting them seeds.
They just planting them seeds. Because a little seed on it.
She could be talking to the Louise Dreyfus lady.
Could be. She also could be talking to the Skrull Queen. Who knows? We don't know.
Well, funny. They could be making. I know we're getting off, but it could be making her look like a bad guy to the audience, and she could be talking to Nick Fury.
That too. Like, she never, because
I keep remembering the fact that Nick Fury to the world is dead. He died in Winter Soldier. So he's doing everything behind the scenes from here on out.
Correct. I'm dying to see that show. When I heard that, I was just like, Shooter McGavin as Norman Osborn? And I'm like, yeah, I totally. And it's like, it's not so hard for me. It's not so hard to believe, only because like Willem Dafoe is not like a young actor that played him. So it is normal to see some guy that is like in everyday life. He could be a dick, but he also could be likable. And like, if
you're also talking about a guy who owns a corporation and has years of, service, like that makes sense too for it to be an older person.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, and then try to like push him out, like, sorry, have that same scene like he had in the Tobey Maguire movies. Sorry, Norman, you're out. The guy's sitting there drinking his tea. He's like, I'm out, am I?
Like, you can't throw me out. I founded this company.
Wait, no. Let me give you the line correctly, because this is much of a Spider-Man nerd. You know how much I've sacrificed.
Yeah, how much I sacrificed. Oh yeah, that was. I thought that was fucked up that they were trying to do that.
That was a real scene, and he's like, "Sorry, Norman, you're out." He's drinking the tea, and then they showed him, and then he's like, "Am I?" And then he just like, yo.
All they were missing in that moment was like the old school villain music, like "Am I?" Dun dun dun.
And that's a moment too. Yo, I know we're sidetracking, but there was a funny thing that I was talking about earlier with Thanos, which I thought was funny, which was like a simple thing, but I don't know where he got it from. So like, I went on this whole big bit with Dale. I went on this whole bit where we were talking about the fact that when they found Thanos on Titan, he wasn't dressed like he was when they fought him. He had on a shirt and sweatpants. Yeah. So my question was, where the fuck did Thanos go between murdering half the population and fucking going on his farm? So we made up this whole bit.
I mean, he's not that much different than. I mean, I please before I even say what I want to say, I want to tell this individual, Brock Lesnar, I'm a huge fan. Don't kill me, but I'm like, you give a strong comparison to Brock Lesnar and Thanos in the sense where like this guy's on TV throwing people attached to stretchers into fucking turn, through tables and shit. And then same thing. And then like, what's he doing in his spare time right now? He's probably planting flowers. Like, what? Like, how do you go from like went to 0 to 100 real quick? Psychopath.
The crazy thing of when you think about it is that means that his travel between where he went, like he spoke to little young Gamora, who was just like, what did it cost you? And he's like, everything. Like that all the way to him realizing he had to go to that place. Like he's sitting there at the end of Endgame smiling, but it seems like at some point in time, he realized this heavy ass armor, I can't be peaceful on this farm by myself. So literally, we were thinking about the fact that he could maybe go to like a Walmart on the planet or something and show up there. And he's like, wait a second, why is it so empty in here? Oh, I killed half the population. This is awesome. Like, now you having him just enjoying life because it's like,
now just because you're just the fact that you bring up Thanos still makes me think of like when Loki's said and done, like how are they gonna deviate from what happened to Loki? Like that's the only thing now that I'm like, is that still ultimately his fate to be crushed at the hands of Thanos? Because I'm like, I don't know, you know, when it comes to the timelines and all that stuff, I don't know how he goes on, like, you know, because I think technically, if we're dealing with time, if that doesn't happen, it messes up like that whole timeline and other things that were supposed to happen, doesn't it?
Correct. So it's almost the equivalence of if Captain America never came back after going to go have a life with Peggy Carter, if he never came back. So in essence, I feel like just like Black Widow, their fate has already been sealed. Like that's my thing. Their fate has already been sealed. No matter, it's almost the Terminator theory of time, which is no matter what you do, like John Connor's still gonna save us. We not counting the dark fate bullshit.
But we're
talking about the regular canon.
We do know that whatever Loki's fate ends up being, it's not yet. It's not at the end of Loki because we know that he's gonna be in the Doctor Strange movie. I don't know what capacity. It could be just fucking flashback scene. I don't know, but
yeah, exactly. That's why, like, when somebody's like, "Oh, somebody's in that," and I'm like, "Well, there are these things called flashbacks."
Yeah, he could just be in a flashback scene where he says something relevant, like "You can't mess with time," and you know. Like,
I remember, what you call it? I remember when Thor: The Dark World came out. There was a big like rumor mill, like Chris Evans was seen on the set. Filming in the Thor: The Dark World, and it was all these rumors about how he's going to be doing this. He literally was in the scene, and he wasn't even himself. It was Loki shapeshifting as him, and literally was just pretending to be Captain America for a second in like a 2-second scene. It's like, oh, okay. So Chris Evans just got an easy, like, you know, he probably did that shit in an hour, and then was back on his jet going home. Like, bye guys. Like Marvel gave me a jet. See you. It's like, hey DC guys, what do you get?
And then as we're going forward, I'm still going back to that after credits because I'm like,
we getting there.
From what we saw from that after credit, are we getting into like Back to the Future territory where like if something don't happen this way, we gonna change this, or we gonna change? Like that's the funny thing about time travel and multiverses. It makes you start thinking a bunch of different stuff. Like, well, if they can't do this, do they go that? Do they have to go back? 619? Do they, you know?
Now, here's the thing. I understand for some audience members of the show or audience members that listen to this, you might feel like, you know, some people might feel like they shouldn't have to do all of this, like getting a physics degree on time travel in order to watch this damn show. And for that, I'm sorry that you're not enjoying this particular series because to me, I'm still watching it, and it's definitely, for me, a slow burn because this feels so much in tune with like nothing that exists.
Oh, I was gonna say like it does feel in tune, sort of with the comics, just how you know they're incorporated in different worlds, and that's what I was just about to say to your other comment, where like, well, I guess some of those people who might like not like what's going on maybe don't read comics because I mean this stuff happens heavily in the comics, especially a lot of the series they have nowadays.
Well, not in that sense. I mean, like what I'm saying is this is not something that, just like how WandaVision was, it doesn't have a very strong I pulled this from here vibe to it. It has a very this is Loki, the Disney Plus TV show. This is WandaVision.
The biggest message in this show is identity. I was saying that before we started this. It's like you can tell that from the first episode. I said, okay, we're diving deeper into Loki, who Loki is, how he ticks, all the stuff he does, why he does what he does. Ultimately, the name of this show, it's about him. I mean, you know, it has it has all this other stuff that's going to drive the story forward, but it's ultimately about him.
So before we get to the end credit scene, I want to ask you, what is your theory about what's actually going on? Because now the thing we kind of talked about, but for our audience, the timekeepers that we thought we kind of speculated were not real, we find out in here, yes, they are androids, which is also funny too, because
like fucking Chuck E. Cheese robots,
pretty much animatronics. Yeah, like they're Disney rejects, which is funny because Disney has a ton of like Disney animatronics. But I also find it funny the fact that this also goes along with Falcon's theory of the big three: aliens, wizards, and androids.
Oh yeah,
so
there you go.
It's literally he's like that's who we fight.
That's some smart writing right there.
That's some smart writing. They're all in tune. You know, it's all. It almost seems like it's like one big cinematic universe or something. Like they all.
It's almost like it's like a giant continuous story. I don't know.
What's funny is I think about so my thing is what is your now that we know that the timekeepers are not real.
Well,
what's your theory of what's actually going on?
And we don't know who's pulling the strings behind this. I think the only theory I had before, I don't know if they'll reveal him on a TV show, but I thought my first number one theory, like I was telling you the other night, was I said maybe it's Kang the Conqueror, and he's already been doing like everything that he's planning, like with different things in time and stuff. Maybe he's already been moving chess pieces and setting everything in motion this whole time. All these years, even while like the Avengers have been fighting, Ultron and this person, maybe he's existed all this time and he's been doing all this shit like that. And maybe, how Marvel likes to do, maybe they'll go back and show us like, oh, that's why this is why Tony couldn't do this. And they'll show like Kang showed up and changed some shit. Or, the TVA came and changed some stuff around. Like that would be, I'm telling you, that would be fucking mind-blowing if we find out like other events that we've watched in the past, the TVA had something to do with it. Like that.
Well, in essence, they would have to. If the TVA, because if now this is what's crazy. Like that moment you were talking about that was like gut-wrenching for you for Loki,
But what if you found out like even in a moment in Endgame, like what if you found out like even the ending with Tony going like, I am Iron Man and like sacrificing himself. What if the TVA changed that shit to that so he could die? Like, but he didn't actually have to die. Like, that would be like, holy shit, like it fucking killed Iron Man. He didn't have to die type of shit.
Well, it could be, I would say if that's the case, going with your theory, if that's the case, then that means that certain things had to happen in the way that it did, but certain things may not have had to happen that way, in which like it goes back to an old theory you were playing around with before, which was the whole like the one thing, whether or not Doctor Strange was actually saying like this is the moment where you are going to sacrifice your life.
I mean, Kevin Smith was the first person that brought that shit up, but he put that in my head. I'm like, was Doctor Strange saying like this is it, or was he like, I'm still a little confused on that, whether he meant this is that one time, or was he saying we only got one shot? Like I'm still like a little bit, I feel like we'd have to sit down with the Russo brothers to figure that one out.
To figure out whether or not it was whether or not basically anybody who died, including Black Widow, if it was necessary for that whole thing to go that way.
And because we're just talking about this, the fact that Doctor Strange was able to go and look at all those times using the time stone, a lot of that shit doesn't work in the TVA. So who's to say that the stuff that he saw wasn't what the TVA wanted him to see?
Like, he's using the stone. The only thing that I would say as a rebuttal to that is, unless the TVA has the ability to control the stone outside of like their space, because
Oh yeah, and that's the other question too. Like I feel like we have still have more scratch and hit questions. Whoever is actually behind the scenes has to be pretty powerful if the fucking Infinity Stones don't work in the TVA.
I have a theory for that, sir. So the TVA, I believe, here is the worlds, right? You have the multiverses that exist, which is what if you go back to Endgame, in order for them to go back in time and make it so that Thanos doesn't have to go to Walmart and get sweatpants and hang out on his farm.
With Brock Lesnar.
With Brock Lesnar on a farm, chilling and just talking about, you remember, man, I remember when Thor threw that hammer at me and he didn't even aim for the head, and then I snapped my finger in front of him.
And then he like, yo, big ups to you beating Undertaker, dude. That dude was undefeated for a long time for you came.
Hell yeah. Remember, he's like, yo, I love the way he's like, nah, I don't condone hitting women, but you knocked the shit out of Wanda when it came down to it, because she was trying to stop you from getting the damn thing, and then you just came over there and gave it a, that was it. Put her down. Didn't you cross paths with her again, and you was like, I don't even know who you are. No, disrespected her. So all props go to you. But anyway,
and you killed her husband.
Damn, I forgot what I was about to say. Wait, what? Damn it, what was I getting to?
Oh, we're talking about the Infinity Stones and how your theory of why they don't work in the TVA.
Oh, okay, yes, thank you for bringing me back to my point. So, the TVA exists in the quantum realm. That's the simple answer to it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So if the TVA exists in the quantum realm, then that means that all the things that work in all the multiverses, they would not work in a space that's in the middle. So if you think about it like a sandwich, whatever's in the middle of your sandwich, that's the TVA in the quantum realm. The bread is, and everything else that you add to it that's there, that's all the other multiverses. You got this one, that one, this one, and that's essentially how it's like Loki's show, if you dive deep into it. Also, it explains a little bit better the time travel of Endgame, because essentially if every universe exists in a singular universe within a vast span of multiverses that are just basically connected, and you can travel to and from them. Mm-hmm. The reason that Janet Van Dyne didn't die, because Janet Van Dyne, when she went into the quantum realm and went to like that level, like that little small level, she literally was living in a space in which time doesn't work the same. Just like the time as they keep saying in the show.
Kind of like the hyperbolic chamber in Dragon Ball Z.
Exactly. Time doesn't work the same as all of these other multiverses that exist without it. But it also explains the fact that using the Mobius loop, the way that the Avengers were able to go back in time was basically if this is their world, like a circle, they came out of their world, went into the quantum realm, and then bounced back into their world at a different point in time in the universe. So they were able to come back into this bubble at the year 2012 for the Avengers.
Remember your other theory about the Infinity Stones? Did you see the color? Was it the same color?
It wasn't on the color on the main screen, but I also hold true to the fact that we're only 4 episodes in. So I could kind of say that one of the main tints of this show was a little bit bluish in terms of the room they were in with the time stone. So I'm trying to hold on to that theory, but I'm gonna wait till the final episode when I see all 6 that are there to see if the color theory I came up with is true. But I'm holding out.
Now, to the other thing you asked about, what do I think is going on in the after credit when we found out Loki's not dead and we see the other Lokis or whatever? I'm like,
well, let's talk about those Lokis. Who like you have boastful Loki, which is the black guy who has his own hammer. You have 4 Lokis there.
You have the alligator Loki.
Alligator Loki
was hilarious. Was it
Kid Loki? And then
I'm for one excited to see classic Loki, just because holy shit, they brought fucking like the Loki from the original comics to life. But also, on a different note, for me personally, I was hoping he wasn't like the person behind everything. Like I know I know that was one thing. Like you think that one theory you had was like that Loki's behind the whole thing. But I was like, I was hoping it wasn't him. I thought, haha, it was gonna be like the old school Loki, and he was behind all this. And I'm like, so I was glad to see him show up. Like, oh, thank God. So it's not him. But what's good? But what is ultimately going on with all these Lokis? I just feel like they're all exiled somewhere, but I have no fucking idea what's going on.
So my theory on that, let me push my glasses. So basically what it shows to me, and you can include Sylvie into here, whoever is the big bad, villain zero, right? Whoever villain zero is their biggest concern is not only the variants, but specifically Loki's.
Yeah.
Loki's in general, and I think it's because it goes back to the first episode. Loki's whole thing is whatever something is in order, he is the chaos to that order. So anything that, like, if you have somebody that's maniacal and has the magic and the cunning and clever and smarts as a Loki existing in your world, no matter what you do, he's going to be a fucking problem, pretty much. So
one other interesting thing that Jill pointed out to me too, I didn't even fucking notice, is she was saying like, you realize they're in New York City, right? And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, go back and pause it. And she's like, if you look at the building on the right, it looks like the Avengers Tower.
It is the Avengers Tower.
I'm looking at her like, what? She didn't even notice that. I'm like, oh wow. So it looks like they're in some type of alternate dimension exile version of, maybe it's like the Terminator and they're stuck in a world where maybe the good guys fucking lost.
So I'm with you. So my theory for Loki episode 4's after credit scene, right, is that because villain X, which we don't, villain Z or whoever the mysterious villain, which might be Mephisto, it might be Mephisto, that exists at this point. This time frame, which in my opinion, the villain X that I still believe at this point in time, besides it potentially being Kang, which I think a lot of people are hoping for, or Mephisto, it's Loki. And here's another reason why I think it might be Loki. Unless that particular, you know how Marvel are with their trailers. They lie to us a lot of times in their trailers, right? Yeah. But I also noticed the fact that sometimes if they don't lie to you in a show, if you're watching trailers, one particular piece that came from the first trailer that I have yet to see, and we've seen that book not only come back into print, but also the single issue disappear and go up in high value, is the Vote Loki. If you go back to the first trailer, there's a moment where Loki has on that suit that has the Vote Loki on it, and he's got the horns, and he's like, surprise, and he has like guys with him or whatever. And I still have yet, it's 2 episodes left, and I've yet to see that scene. So my theory of that is either A, that is the reveal of the moment when you find that Loki is the actual villain. I do think that I think we'll probably wind up seeing somehow in the next episode. And I do think that they're hiding somebody though, because I remember that clip that they put out with him wearing the Vote Loki. He was talking to somebody, and they didn't show who he was talking to. They were kind of, and whoever that seems to be the ruler of this exile world. So so I feel like either it's another version of him, or it's a new character who's going to be introduced. Like, holy shit, they brought such and such to life, type of thing. So I want to make sure I'm correct here. You can Google this just to make sure. Can you Google Phantom Zone and tell me if that's Marvel or DC? Because I believe
that's DC, isn't it? Phantom Zone?
Yeah, there is what the hell is the name? There is a zone that the Fantastic Four has that they banish villains to. I know DC they have it as well. I believe theirs is called the Phantom Zone, but I can't remember what the Marvel version of the Phantom Zone is. Because that's what I actually think.
You're talking about the Negative Zone?
The Negative Zone, thank you. The Negative Zone. I believe that particular area is the Negative Zone. And somebody has figured out a way with science literally to transport people to the negative zone. Which the negative zone, if you're thinking about it in terms of the realms that I was just talking about, it doesn't exist in the quantum realm or any of the multiverses. It's a place outside of this. It is literally a place of chaos. Literally. It's literally a place of chaos in which in this realm you could have, all manner of things happen, and literally, a world where I saw that Avengers Tower, when I saw that, my first thought was, okay, if Loki's the villain, then this world, if it's not the negative zone, then this world might be the one scenario, like Doctor Strange. I'll just push my nerve glasses.
Well, remember
14,605.
Where they lose, right? Oh, so maybe what if this is a world where the Avengers didn't win during that fight with the space people, and they actually lost?
With the Chitauri and him, they lost, and that's a realm that he likes to. He has the world, in that sense. He is ruler of the world. He's the master and the ruler of the world, like Psycho Sid. I feel like my two top picks for who the actual villain of this particular series is either Kang or, again, a Loki, because the Loki, I'm leaning more towards the Loki theory only because I feel like there's only one great, besides Thanos just choking that nigga out and breaking his neck, somebody who could be an adversary to Loki is, who's your worst enemy?
Oh yeah, sure, yourself.
Exactly. So it's like,
plus, I think Kang is another big bad, so I feel like he'd probably show up in an after credit scene, if anything.
I feel like he's
same thing like that. Same thing like Thanos. First time we ever saw Thanos, he showed up in an after credit scene. It wasn't.
I'm gonna take it another step further, and I will also say that I believe if Kang has an after credit scene, I think I said this before, but that shovel that was in the first episode,
which
futuristic shovel,
that never got explained.
I feel like at that moment in time, that's when we're gonna literally get somebody come back to that place, grab the shovel, show the face, credits. Like that's it. Like because it could easily be all. It's literally.
I know, what do you call it? I only know this because I looked it up. Wasn't familiar with Kang or half the shit before, but the Ravonna Renslayer chick. I know in the comics, it was a white character, and being that we know Kang the Conqueror is going to be Jonathan Majors, and they have a love interest in the comics. She's the only reason that I keep saying Kang, because like if she's protecting whoever is behind this, and and she's pulling the strings, then at some point maybe because she's his love interest, and we'll see, and maybe they'll explain that too, either in this show or somewhere down the line.
Pretty sure. I think that it's maybe to the point where we might even see like Jonathan Majors like before he was Kang, because there's a lot of times where we see him before he becomes.
Well, that's another trope in comic movies in general. You always get to see the actor as whatever they're playing, and even think about even the original Fantastic Four movies. The dude that played Ben Grimm, the what's the name? We still saw him as human at one point. Remember, at one point they lost their powers and they were human again. We got to see him as a regular person for a second. It's like they always do.
Even Dr. Doom before he put on the mask.
They always find a way to show this person as regular before they become whatever they become.
The only time that doesn't happen is if like the person's an alien like Thanos. There is they show you in another light, but
what's his name? The Talos dude from the Skrull.
Yeah. And again, I feel like nothing is said when it comes to Marvel, and nothing is shown for no reason. We didn't. We remember back in that scene where we got excited about Blade. We heard vampires, Titans, and what was the other one?
I think it was creatures.
Kree. I'm sorry, the Kree. So
no,
yeah,
Kree.
So the Kree, we've seen Kree already. We've seen Ronin. We've seen them in different Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We've seen them, and we also saw them with Captain Marvel, several Kree. So we've seen the Kree, and literally Captain Marvel has Kree blood in her. So like we literally have seen the Kree so much so.
I think we're gonna get to see bad guy versions of the Skrulls in Secret Invasion, because they did put a little spin on that for Captain Marvel, and we saw like good guys. We thought they were bad and they were good. I feel like Secret Invasion is gonna introduce us to bad versions of them.
Well, clearly, Secret Invasion, if that's what it, I am very curious to see that show, because you are literally taking, to me, you're taking a event comic and turning it into a singular show. Now, we don't know the ramifications of how far that the Secret Invasion has already been occurring. The same way you were talking about with Kang being around and literally making stuff happen back in the day. You don't know.
I came up with that theory just after thinking about, what was it, the Spider-Man, what was the last one called? Spider-Man?
Far From Home.
Far From Home, with Mysterio. When you found out like this guy goes back to the first Iron Man, like what? Like he had connections.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't go back to the first.
I meant like he had connections with somebody all the way back to the first Iron Man movie. It's like, oh, it was that he was that embedded in here, and he was doing stuff behind the scenes. So that's what I mean. Like when I say that, I'm pretty sure that that's going to continue to unravel within the Marvel universe, where we're going to see villains and heroes that have like already existed and already been doing stuff, and they'll connect it just like the Saw movies and show you what was Nova doing while this was happening during Endgame. And
well, that's already happened now with Captain Marvel, because technically we all thought that the first hero here was Iron Man, and technically it wasn't him, because well, it's funny. I don't even think it was for right now as we're talking, it's Captain Marvel. But I don't even think it's that. And the reason I say that is because Hank Pym is an old man when we meet him. So it's like, okay, so him and Janet Dine existed and were heroing in another time before anything we saw.
So you're also telling me, just like Black Widow, if Marvel decides you want to know those stories when Michael Douglas was younger, let's go back and show you his Ant-Man and show you what he was.
Wait. You think they did that for nothing? They showed you old heroes that were already here, that are old already. It's like, oh, I'm not going to start with Hank Pym. I'm going to start with Scott Lang. And then here's what's great about that, right? You can tie it back to, I don't know if you know in the comics, but in the comics, there's a moment in time where Ant-Man goes bad. Hank Pym. He becomes Yellow Jacket, which is ironic because it's already been mentioned, but in the Ant-Man movie with Paul Rudd, the villain he fights is Yellow Jacket.
Yellow Jacket.
So literally, he was the Yellow Jacket at one point in time in the comics as a bad guy, and he literally had a very similar suit to him. So there could have been a time where there was a time when he was Ant-Man, then Giant Man, and then Yellow Jacket, and then back to Ant-Man. Like, all of that could have occurred before anything.
Now we got, what was it, the comic Heroes Reborn, where like all the characters are different characters. Like Blade is like Captain Marvel or some shit. Like, I'm like, holy shit, what the hell?
What I'm gonna tell you exactly what Heroes Reborn is. Heroes Reborn is just Marvel's way of taking what if stories and not calling them what if stories.
Yeah,
that's literally all it is. They're great stories. Like, one of my favorite ones is by a podcast that we check out, which is Fat Man Beyond, Mark Bernardin. He did a story on there.
You can't leave out Kevin Smith. You're like Fat Man Beyond, Mark Bernardin. I'm like, can't leave out my boy Kev.
No, Kevin's dope. We're gonna be seeing him very soon. But the cool thing is that I like that series because it was basically if Spider-Man. It was very simple. If Peter Parker never became Spider-Man, what would he become? That's the essence of the comic.
I didn't even know that he made that. I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. I gotta read that.
It's an interesting story because it's exactly what you would think. It's just like, well, let's see. He was really smart, like genius level smart, and he was in school. So regular guy, like it's like he would still be the guy who is embedded with the great power, great responsibility, Uncle Ben wouldn't have died because Uncle Ben would have, never been in a place and time to be able to be shot because of him.
What if like Uncle Ben was like a drug dealer instead? He'd be like, hey yo, Peter, let me teach you the ropes. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna go ahead and do what most people hate. Spoilers, he doesn't die. Aunt May dies. She dies horribly. Sorry, spoilers. She dies.
Damn it, man! You messed it up for me, man.
She dies in a horrible accident that a superhero causes, which is basically a superhero Hyperion is like dealing with like a villain thing, and like I can't remember exactly what happens, but she's literally in a building that he like throws something at while fighting, and it's like, hey, where's your Aunt May? Oh, she went to this building, and it's like, he's standing there, and that building is completely demolished. It's like, okay,
well, at least she wasn't standing in the street and got ran over by him.
Oh god damn! She got.
I'm thinking about the boys. I was like, at least she didn't get the boys treatment.
She got
like,
man.
Shit.
He ran. It's crazy. I know that I can't. I'll definitely say this once you swallow. Okay, so the interesting thing is that if you think about it, right? You ready for this? What's his name? The hero's name that ran through it.
A-Train.
Looks like he ran a train.
Oh my god. He ran a train on his girl.
He ran a train on somebody else's girl. Or take it a step further. Looks like she missed the train.
Oh my god!
I can go all night. I can go all night with these puns.
I feel like if we're done with our little Loki review, I feel like that I know what this segues into, being that you're using the sort of perverted to some other little shocking news we found out. Not today, like 2 days ago.
Oh, what are we talking about? Mr. Jello Pudding.
We found out that Mr. Jello Pudding ain't
I was in the pen lifting the weights and
flipping the weight, showing them how to make the pudding pops, and then they said you're free to go. And
so let me be very clear for 1 second as we go into this. Let me be very clear. For anyone listening to this or watching our faces, we don't condone whatever the fuck happened with Bill Cosby whatsoever.
That stupid shit. Like this guy
if this guy is guilty for what he did, then yes, he should deserve to be in jail. And I think justice will still be served if we get some good lawyers to actually like figure out more of what happened and what the truth is or whatever happened. So in no way are we sitting here, but we are just joking about him.
But he got off on a tiny ass technicality. The fact that like another judge or something like promised him like another judge. This is the thing that I don't get. So like I don't know if it was a bribe, a payoff, or whatever. But another judge like promised him that he wouldn't be prosecuted or go to jail. So I'm like, so what did he do the first time that he was able to make that type of deal? Like.
Money makes things go away, and the money apparently gets you out of jail after. Was he been there for like 2 years?
2 years. I'm like hoping, like just because this guy done ruined my fucking childhood with the Cosby Show. So, I'm hoping.
He didn't ruin my childhood. I
think that was one of my favorite, black family shows of all time. Besides like Family Matters. Now I just got Family Matters. And
I forgot how old you are compared to me.
So now I just got Family Matters and The Fresh Prince in terms of like those family shows. Because you got Martin, which came on at the same time but it wasn't like a family show. That was like that was just some friends hanging out. That wasn't.
It was fun.
It was still just as fun, but it wasn't like Will was a part of a family and stuff. Like they had a family on that show, but it wasn't the same dynamic. But yeah, I feel like. Yeah, that's all we had to say about Cosby. It was just shocking that they let this.
Shocking that they let him free. I thought this guy was gonna sadly die in jail. But apparently he's out and about. And I was looking in the news, and this guy literally first night out was like with his family, with family and friends, eating pizza and just telling jokes. And it's like nobody. If I was sitting in that room, I'd have been like, this just feels really weird, man. Because it's the same. It's kind of like the OJ thing. It's like, man, I'm be honest, dog. I really don't know if you did this or not.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. Like, I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. You definitely there's all the rumors of why.
And I was just gonna be upfront and honest and be like, when I heard that, I was like, do they remember that he was black? Because if anybody was gonna get out, I thought it'd be fucking Harvey Weinstein before it would be some Bill Cosby. So
is Harvey in jail?
Is he in jail? Oh wait, no, I don't think did he go to jail? I don't even know.
I don't even remember. But yeah, so before we move on, all I'm gonna say, and whether this is political or not, I don't really care. But what I'm gonna say in this situation is whatever happened with this case, it's a perfect example of our justice system here in America. And that's all I'm gonna say. It's a perfect example of what happens in a justice system, whether he was guilty or not guilty. If he was guilty, holy shit, this guy only served 2 years in prison for doing horrible shit to women. If he was not guilty, he just lost 2 years of his life for not doing some shit. So either way, it's just kind of a moment in time where it's just like, man, the justice system is an interesting place that shows.
Sorry, I had to kill a bug. Oh shoot!
What happened?
I had to kill a fly. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. Nothing happened there. If you listen, I want to just say a quick disclaimer to the ASPCA. The ASPCA. I do not condone the death of that fly. Ronnie Gorham killed that fly. I have nothing to do with that whatsoever. So please understand that I love all the flies, and if a fly came in here right now, I would hold it and go, "Hey, Mr. Fly, how are you doing?"
That was a part of the show. That was all just an act. No flies were harmed in the filming of this podcast.
He murdered on camera. It's on camera. He murdered a fly.
No flies were harmed in the filming.
That fly had a family.
What Markell is doing right now is simply all an act, guys. Everything's fine. Fly.
And scene. Yes, it was an act. He didn't kill anything, guys. But so with Loki, I'm saying, but before I know we jumped onto the Cosby Man. I'll be honest, that wasn't where I was going. So you brought it over to the Cosby thing.
My bad. But how about final rating 1 out of 10 for Loki episode 4, the Nexus event?
I'm gonna be honest. It's hard to give these episodes proper ratings until I actually know what the fuck is going on, because it feels like that one. It doesn't have the same appeal as, I'll be honest, it doesn't have the same appeal as WandaVision did, because it was this interesting puzzle that was happening. This one feels like I just am not seeing the full picture here. Like, I feel like I'm this close to it, and then I keep backing up a little bit and a little bit and a little bit, and then like by the time everything is revealed to me, I'm like,
I would agree. I mean, there were 2 shocking moments that made me go, holy shit, watching that, which is when we think, well, I guess now that we've seen the aftercut, when we think Mobius gets killed, so first now we're going to figure out where is he? And then when Loki got hit, because I was like, oh, like, that stole my heart for a second, but then I was like, great writing by the filmmakers, in the sense that, you know, a character as popular as Loki, I know they felt like, we can't let people wait till next week to know he's not dead, because people are going to be mad as hell. So we're going to have an after credit scene immediately to show you that, hey, show goes on. He's okay.
Oh, yeah, that after credits had to happen. But they're like, did they just kill the main character?
I feel like for that episode, it was a perfect time for after credit scene, because if he would have just died, credits, I feel like people would have been unsubscribing from their Disney. So they would have been, some people might have been that damn mad.
Pretty much, because I'm gonna say what I think a lot of people have a feeling about online and like in the message boards and comment sections and stuff. And feel free to leave a comment and on this video, if you have any thoughts whatsoever on Loki, whether good or bad, everything it's your opinion, so you're free to do that. But I think what some people might have the idea of when it comes to the show is that somehow we're gonna get the Lady Loki to now be like it's almost to they're comparing, like some people are comparing it to like, oh well, we had a Terminator movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but what about a female Terminator? And then this, and it's like I know some people feel like, or it's like, oh well, you had a male lead, well now we have to have a female lead in this exact same role, and it's like I don't think that's what's happening here, but I know that's a common thing that's being said online is like, I'm not here for Sylvie, I'm here for Loki. And it's
I think that some people too, I think that for some people they were expecting more of a, what was the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks? They were expecting more of a Catch Me If You Can, probably, where Loki was going to be running and doing all this stuff and his antics, and we get to see more of his powers. And I think maybe for some fans they thought they were going to get more of that type of a show. And we're getting this vehicle that's kind of like a whodunit or who's behind it and this. And for some fans, they ain't here for all this shit. Like, I don't give a fuck. You know what? For some people, I don't give a fuck who behind the TVA. I'm here for Loki. Like, at the end of the day. So I can sympathize with some fans. Some fans are just like, especially some fans who may not even be fully invested in the MCU, because I'm pretty sure that Kevin Feige and everybody else is also aware of the fact that not everybody watches all the Marvel movies. Some people have seen, like, you could do a survey. Hey, what did you say? I saw Black Panther and I saw Captain Marvel. Oh, okay. You're like, why did you see those? Oh, I'm a big fan of Brie Larson. I was a big fan of Chadwick, like that type of stuff. So it makes sense.
In essence, it's very similar. It's the way that you can equate the live action to the comics. It's very similar to looking at somebody like McFarlane or Snyder or Ryan Otley, different artists and writers who do a particular character in a certain way where you're on board when that particular person is on board with it. The only difference is when it comes to the live action, you're connected more to who's playing your character. And once you're connected to that person, then you're kind of in the bag for that particular person, which, a lot of people, let's be honest, a lot of people were interested in this show, Loki, not based on what the show was about, because we got a very vague synopsis, but for Tom Hiddleston. That's what a lot of people are here for. People are like
the trailer literally just made me think like, oh, it looks like a Doctor Who version of Loki. That's all I thought about going into it.
Correct. Yeah, that's kind of how they pitched it, which is like, he goes on these adventures through time, and it's like he is, but not in a way that you thought he was going to.
Also, I feel like now that the show is unfolding, if they would have kind of given you everything that it's about, it would probably ruin whatever big finale is coming up too.
Correct. And it's like they're definitely left us with a cliffhanger here. But one thing I wanted to mention besides we can't forget the Richard E. Grant was the one who actually played Loki. That dude has been in a ton of movies.
Yeah. I have looked him up. He was actually, it's funny. I found he was actually in Logan.
Yes, that's the bad guy of Logan. Yeah,
I'm like, holy crap! I was like,
he's already been in a Marvel property.
Funny to see him in another Marvel movie.
He's like he was the one that was like yelling to the second version of Logan that was like, I think it was an X20 something. I can't remember what number. I know the Laura is technically X23. But I can't remember what the younger, more dangerous version of Logan that was in that movie. God,
which just for me, the same thing that those rumors for years about Quentin Tarantino waiting for that little girl to grow up to make Kill Bill 3. I would love if that's what they're planning to do with that little girl from Logan. Like, they plan to bring her back as X23, but they let letting her get older, because that would just
still my beating
awesome.
heart, because I'm in for it. And that's the thing too, is like, you know, I want to address some of the like comments and like certain things I've seen online as well when it comes to these things. And everybody's opinion is valid. I'm only just addressing it as just pointing my side.
Right now, as you're talking, someone's pointing their middle fingers right.
You and yours, like, you know. So it's like, I want to say this. I understand that everybody is not on board for this for the full continuity of this world. And it's okay, because when me and you go to comic book stores, we don't pick up everything that's Marvel. Like, hey, we're doing Marvel today. Let's get everything
that's DC. Like
everything that's DC. We just pick up the key things that we're reading at a particular point in time. Interesting stories that just pull us in. The only difference is that now most times in the comic books stores, if you go to comic book stores, and you go in and you're typically looking for things that catch your attention. Like Ronnie's one of those people, you can get Ronnie to buy a book based on a cover.
Yeah, if it has, I'm gonna tell you right now, if it has an awesome cover design or a catchy title, I'll buy it. Like, yeah, it's like Shadecraft, which is an actual real book. Shadecraft, what's that about? I'm buying it.
So there's various different things when you're going to a store and you're pulling it up. When you're watching this, like we have never seen something like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The closest that we have had in the year 2000 in this, you know, century, in this current century that we're in, the year 2000, the closest thing that we have of continuity, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but the closest thing we have to the Marvel Cinematic Universe is the Fast and the Furious movies.
I knew you were gonna say that. I was like, is family. That's the closest thing we got. Let me say it for you. Closest thing we got to the MCU is family.
I just want to say,
to put my fake ass Vin Diesel voice on family.
So for some reason, they haven't figured out yet that they are in a superhero movie. Like, I'd say probably by part 5, once The Rock showed up. No offense to The Rock, he's great as Hobbs. I just find it so hilarious that I want you now you're hearing me, Ronnie, and people are listening to this. I want you to go and find me a scene in Fast and the Furious where with Hobbs, and find me a scene where this nigga is not sweating.
I mean, even when you see The Rock on his Instagram, he's sweating. So
why are you sweating?
I mean, that probably just comes natural because he's training to like defend the planet against somebody. Because I don't think that anybody on the planet Earth exercises or works out more than The Rock. He is lifting a dumbbell as we speak. Like, it's like, I don't know, man. It's got
like, somebody heard me. What did it say?
Like, he is just like the most physical fit person like ever.
I don't know what
Fast
to say.
Furious, I would not be, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if by the time we get to the next event, like the big grand stage, next Avengers movie, where they're about to fight the big bad in a climactic scene, and Dom shows up like, you got extra help right here. Dun, dun, dun.
I'm gonna tell you right now where I believe, since we just to give a quick wait, you've seen Fast 9 yet?
No, not yet.
It's okay. You don't have to rush and see it. It's fine. What you get? You're not. Did you see 8?
Yeah, I've seen all the rest of them.
Then you've seen 9.
Like for me, I think the last time I was excited by a Fast and Furious movie was probably the one where we found out that Letty wasn't dead. That was the last time I was like, whoa. And then the movie that came after that, and I felt like that should have been the end. Right there, like that.
I think that was like 6.
Yeah, like that should have been. That should have been the end, but it kept going and it kept going. And that, like, I won't say, like, we segued over into the Fast and Furious review. So, like, I won't say that they're completely terrible because I do like a lot of the jokes. I like Ludacris, Tyrese. I like the whole cast. Like the cast is good and everything. It's for me. It's just wait. This is movie 9, right? I feel like like I said, it should have ended after the one where they got Letty back and she starts to get her memory back a little bit. Which, when I think about it, is kind of like Star-Lord and Gamora. That's weird, but like it should have ended there. But like I feel like 9 movies later, it's starting to become a little unbelievable that half of these guys are still alive from the shit that they do. Like, ricocheting off buildings and jumping off cliffs, and it's like, how are you not dead?
Here's the thing where I feel like they've lost me, and I'm like, at some point I was like, me and Ao were just saying like, this is just a video game. That's all it is. This is just a video game. Like, this is not real. This is a video game. It's like, press this button right here, and then this will happen with Dom, and he'll do this. He'll survive this. Just like playing like freaking Drake or like one of the Uncharted series. That's what I was comparing this to.
Let me ask you this. Even though I'm still gonna watch it, do any new characters show up? Like, we've gotten so many new people. Only thing I was thinking is maybe Eva Mendes comes back. That's the only thing I was thinking.
No, Eva Mendes does not come back in this one. John Cena is in this one as
Jacob Toretto, right?
as
what do you what do you think of John Cena's performance as? Because doesn't he play one of the villains?
He's John Cena.
Because Charlize Theron's still the main villain, right? Or not the main villain, but because isn't the main villain still the Thing from Hobbs and Shaw? Isn't that like the overall big villain?
No.
Not for this. Oh, not for this. Okay.
Do you want to know? Like,
no. I don't want to know. I don't want to know that part. But I know Charlize Theron's like working.
She's not the main big bad villain. I'm just telling you right now.
Charlize Theron somehow has gotten John Cena to work with her against Dom and the team, right?
That's not the case.
Oh, that's not. Oh, that's just what the trailer makes you believe.
She is in a cage for most of the movie. He has her in a cage, literally in a cage. Like
John Cena's the big bad.
No, I'm just like, I'm telling you, this movie is like
not giving me much confidence here, but oh wait, now okay, let me ask you this, because I know you didn't like Bumblebee, but is John Cena's acting performance better than what you thought about him in Bumblebee?
John Cena was in Bumblebee?
Yeah, he was in Bumblebee.
No, he's the exact same character from Bumblebee.
Oh, man.
Did you think he would? Well, let me ask you this. I'm sorry. I don't want to say that. Did you think he was bad in Bumblebee?
I thought he was okay. I just didn't think he.
Then you're gonna think he's okay over here.
I don't think he was a good like. They could have done the whole Dom's brother deal. I just didn't think John Cena was believable as Dom's.
It's not believable.
Wait, and I didn't even see the movie, but even them telling me from the trailer, like Jacob is Dom's brother, and I'm like, John Cena and Vin Diesel. I don't really think that seems believable that they're brothers. It didn't feel like it was. Now I know most people will say like, oh, that's because you're looking at the height and build and stuff like that and the bald head, and like, no, it's not that. It's just like they don't like, and you don't even have to look alike. They just don't. It doesn't seem like a good dynamic like for those. Do those two actually have good chemistry when they're on screen together? Or is Vin Diesel just Vin Diesel? Like,
yeah, he's just Vin Diesel, and John Cena's just John Cena, and John Cena's trying to talk hard and bad, and they're talking about like what happened in the past, and they're so vague about it. And then once they actually show what happens, I'm like, I'm out. Like, so I'm just like,
so it's not even worth the buildup. Okay, how about Tyrese? All right, how about Tyrese and Ludacris? Are they still hilarious with their jokes and like Ludacris is still like the big computer whiz, the
I
technology whiz.
I didn't realize this until I watched it. I didn't realize this until I watched this. But these movies are designed for the theater experience of a crowded theater. When you're in a small theater during a pandemic and there's very few people, to actually laugh at Tyrese and Ludacris, you realize they're not that funny. Like that's what I realized when I wasn't in a big crowd watching this, and I'm like, okay, like, wow, it is cute little, like there's one thing, this ain't even spoiling nothing. So they make Tyrese the guy who talks about how unbelievable it is the things that they've done in the last 9 movies are, and they're trying to make a thing like, oh, well, now we have a character who's self-aware that we literally just got into a gunfight where people had assault rifles as close as I am to this goddamn iPad to somebody, and not even a bullet hole in your jacket. Like, what is going on?
They got the old school animated G.I. Joe going on where they shooting lasers back and forth and nobody gets literally. Oh man, that's just thinking about that for a second. Like how the fuck? Like I know we didn't think about that watching it as kids, but how the fuck are they shooting lasers back and forth like damn? I think everybody on the battlefield need glasses.
The shows that did that most was like Star Wars did that with the Stormtroopers, but we already know that the Stormtroopers can't hit a fucking like can sitting in front of them. And then you have G.I. Joe, and let's not forget 80s Transformers is like that too.
Oh, yeah,
they had their like shootouts or whatever.
Yeah.
And then finally somebody would get shot.
And they weren't shooting off like tiny pistols. Like Optimus Prime got a fucking cannon, and he missing like crazy. Like it wasn't until the Transformers movie where they started hitting people.
So I'll give my like kind of spoiler free review of F9, right? I'm more than happy if if anybody makes a comment about it, I am more than happy to go on to like an Instagram live or even just an Instagram video, or even here on YouTube, and do a like maybe 5 or 10 minute review of this movie with all the spoilers. But for now, I'll just do a spoiler free review for you guys.
Yeah, at least
so F9,
then we can dive in deeper.
Yeah, F9 basically gets you see Dom and Letty, they're out in the wilderness living in a house or whatever, and they're on a farm and they're like raising a kid or whatever. And then Mr. Nobody, like this isn't ruining anything. I'm just like telling you the gist of the story. So Tyrese and what's the boy's name? Ludacris shows up, and they're showing them a video of Mr. Nobody. His plane got like hijacked and was forced to crash in some jungle. So they're basically now being called because why would he want to get a street crew, like a street, I don't know, whatever reason. He's Mr. Nobody who has access to doing just about every and any fucking thing, but he's like, you got to get this video to Dom, and it's like, for what? Why? Anyway, sorry. So they get it to them, and then they try to make the decision on, hey, you know what? Do we be bad parents and leave our like 5 or 6 year old on a farm by ourselves? Or do we go out and try to, go and find Mr. Nobody? So it's the opposite. They leave their kid of 5 or 6 years old on a farm by themselves, and then we just never talk about it. We just don't talk about it.
Wait, doesn't somebody else show up to take care of the kid?
We just never talk about it.
What?
So if you have a 5 or 6 year old and you decide that you need to go on a mission that could wind up having you dead.
Maybe they called a babysitter, but that was a deleted scene that got cut out.
Oh, okay, yeah, because that would be too much to put in there. It's just like, hey, let me call my.
Wait, is Jordana Brewster in this one? She's in it, and
she's in this one doing a job of like somehow owning up to John Cena always being a part of the family. It's like, when? Y'all never mentioned another sibling. This don't make no sense. Are you just like, now all of a sudden in a moment in Fast 9, now you want to have a conversation with Dom about did you I forgot, let's just call John Cena John Cena. I heard that you saw John, and it's like, yeah. It's like, you think he's still mad? And it's like, I don't know. Maybe you haven't mentioned him in like 8 movies. He might be a little bit mad. Like, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. Whatever this movie wants to do. So they go to the jungle, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And then this is where things might sound very familiar. Do you remember the plot to 8?
Oh, God.
Of course you don't. Wait, it's okay. 8, you don't have to.
Wait, yeah, I remember. Yeah, 8 was what we thought Dom turned bad, right?
Got you. Okay.
Yeah, 8 was what we thought Dom turned bad, and
that was actually 7. But go ahead.
Oh shit! Oh God, I don't.
That's not terrible.
Wait, was it? I don't even remember.
Okay. That was 8. That was 8. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, and then that's when we found out that he had a kid because he didn't even know he had a kid.
Correct. Yeah, he had a kid with the one night stand he had with the chick in the other movie.
He had a kid with Thor's wife because that's
Thor's real. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, they're just like they just do a bunch of unbelievable stuff in this movie, and then at some point in time, we team up with John Cena and we fight the villain, and that's the movie. That's the gist of this movie.
Oh wow.
It also has me. Do you remember Bad Boys 3? You remember that movie, right? Yeah. It has one of those feelings with me, and this is not. I don't even think this is a spoiler, but it gives me that vibe of like, you remember the fact that in the movie, spoilers for anybody who haven't seen Bad Boys 3, that the boy that literally shot and almost killed Will Smith in the beginning of the movie turns out to be his son. This has that same vibe for me when it comes to John Cena, because it's just like. So I watched this whole movie, and y'all niggas is just like family. What? Hey, yo, he tried to murder you for 2 hours. What are you? What's going on? Why is this guy at the cookout?
Sorry, he's like, sorry about the harpoon on the rooftop. I mean, I would have impaled you, but you know what? You want to go get some ice cream?
Like, yo, what do you mean? Like, pass him a cold brewski.
He's like, pass me a brewski. I got to meet my nephew.
I'm sorry. That's the same thing I had a problem with. Bad Boys 3 was just like his trying to rehabilitate his son or whatever. I hope they don't make it.
So we just gonna forget that he sniped old boy. Okay, all right. So he just sniped shit out the police captain. Okay, yeah. But we famous.
Yeah, he just murdered the captain. What is it? Like, we just gonna forget that?
I think that movie turned out to be pretty decent, so I think that should wrap up. Let's just wrap up the Bad Boys franchise and not make another one. I don't think we need another one, honestly. We wanted a third one. We didn't get the third one we wanted exactly. That one was pretty good, but all right. So 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10 for Fast 9. What do you think?
1 out of 10. If I just go in and go click, turn my brain off, this one was like a 7.
Okay, it's
a 7 turning my brain off. There's so much that happens that's just like anger. It's like,
wow. How many scenes are there where you're like, they should be dead, but I'm gonna keep watching because I know when it comes to those movies, like especially from the one in the trailer where they're like hang gliding off a cliff and Letty's like you and her usual damn, and I'm like, yo, how are they surviving this, bro?
That's not even, you know what? I'm gonna talk about that scene because that's in the trailer and that's a clip you can find online, so that's not even a spoiler. They're running from these, mercenaries that came out of nowhere that's just shooting at them or whatever because they
are they shooting at them like the G.I. Joe, like pew, 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 pew. But they're not hitting nothing.
Everything's hitting the car, but apparently bullets don't go into the car. Okay, whatever. So they're literally going towards a cliff where there used to be a drawbridge because apparently right before this, Tyrese and went across the drawbridge that's literally breaking as they're driving across it. And they literally make it to the other side. And then they have a moment where the drawbridge literally collapsed before they get there. And somehow they just come over the ledge. Woo! How?
Now I definitely have to watch that at some point this weekend.
No sense. Okay, sorry. So to that moment that's in the trailer, and I apologize to anybody that's like listening to this in their ears because I'm pretty sure my shouting moments, might make you pull it out. So I apologize. But the thing that gets me though with this is that scene happens, and so Dom sees the drawbridge is gone. There's literally only a string with a metal spike in the ground where the drawbridge used to be. And Letty's like, Dom, no, they're literally driving off a cliff. Somehow he hooks the right tire that he can't see to this pin. That pin snatches his tire, swings him around a mountain, and he lands and smashes into the side of the mountain. The car flips, lands on his side, and when you see the car, it's demolished. But when you look inside the car, Letty and Dom they don't even have dirt on them.
Wait, and you know what? You got to tell me how that tire didn't come off either. If the thing snatched me, I would think it would take to pull the tire right off.
In reality, this is the car. That's it. That's what happens. The logic is gone. They've suspended my last suspension of the belief was in 8 when Dom was about to get hit with a missile. A missile, okay? A submarine sent missile, which can blow up half a city.
I thought you were gonna talk about the one with what was it? With Luke Evans? Luke Evans, where he got shot in the shoulder. Literally, my man literally got out the car, got shot in the shoulder, and just kept walking like ain't nothing happened.
You just got shot.
He was like, wow. And the scene just goes on, and then he had to fight with Luke Evans, and then he's talking like, yeah, y'all want to go get something to eat? Because they're like, yo, dog, your shoulder. It wasn't even bleeding.
It's it's just the clothes instantly regenerate. Here's the crazy thing. After that scene, which has the worst line in all of the Fast and the Furious movies. Wait, what was it? You took the fights to the streets, and sometimes the streets win, or some crazy nonsense like that. And he broke the ground.
It sounds like the streets come back or something.
It was like something along those lines. And literally, the place crushes on top of his car. A freaking parking garage crushes him inside the car. When they find his body, not only does all he is unconscious. That's it. He's just unconscious. The car is demolished. He's just unconscious with possibly a cut on his head. And then it's like, oh, they check his pulse. Oh, he's dead. And then Letty start crying. And then she lets one tear off and it drops on him. He wakes up. I'm like, my man, what the? Is this a Disney movie? Because I'm confused. I thought we were. That's why I was like, the suspension is just gone. Literally, The Rock has a broken arm from falling out of a freaking building, which he should have been dead, but he fought out of a building, broken arm. And when they asked him, hey, you need to help Toretto, he literally muscles his way out of a cast on a broken arm. I'm like,
I thought you were talking about I thought you were talking about the new one. I was like, The Rock's in the new one? I'm like,
again, The Rock has his own thing. I told you that before, and I don't know if
that's right, because I think him and Diesel don't get along. So they
get along now. It just he has his own franchise. Yeah, or at least that's what Vin Diesel said on a recent episode of Jimmy Fallon.
So we still might get a what do you call it? We still might get a Hobbs and Shaw 2.
We will get a Hobbs and Shaw 2, and that's based on the after credit scene.
An
after credit scene.
After credit scene, okay.
Which
Was the after credit scene at least exciting?
Maybe. Do you want to know it? It's not even.
No, I don't want to. No, I don't. No, I don't want to know. I'll still watch it and see it all.
Of course. So, hey, look.
You said a 7 out of 10. Okay, that's
7 out of 10 means that if you turn off your when I'm freaking out here and you guys hear me freaking out on the show here about this, that's my brain going, I can't process this shit. If I turn it off and just watch it and go, action, woo, then it's like you can't use any like logic to the. I can't. It's like, hey,
look, you know what you can process though. You can process our last topic, which is Masters of the Universe.
Masters of the Universe got a new trailer.
What's that? That'll be out on. That's coming out July 23rd.
Yeah,
on Netflix, which everybody got, because if you ain't got it, just borrow your cousins, your brothers, your moms, your sisters. You
Netflix starting to come for you now. They're like, well, how many profiles you got?
So Kevin Smith, Mark Bernardin, and a shit ton of other writers have what's the word? Breathe some new life into, or more like resurrect, because this is supposed to be a continuation of Masters of the Universe. So
correct.
So now I don't remember Masters of the Universe at all. So I'm gonna have to.
It was the 80s, yeah.
Luckily that it's like you can find it on most streaming services. I'm gonna have to rewatch it. I will say that rewatching Masters of the Universe is better, because I think I watched the first episode the other day. It is going back to something that you watched as a kid. It is better than Thundercats, I will say. The original Thundercats show, love it, some nostalgic. But when I rewatch the Thundercats now, I never realized how fucking cheesy the dialogue was. Like, holy shit, they poured this on. And Lion-O never listens for shit. They always tell this guy what to do. Like, Panthro and everybody is like, Lion-O, don't go into the forest. Wait until we get the sword. Lion-O go into the fucking forest. Like, what the fuck? But at least over on Masters of the Universe, I feel like it still holds up, and the dialogue wasn't as bad, and Skeletor was still just as fucking evil, and a really bad, what do you call it? A really bad employer to all his henchmen, because he called them all types of names. When you think about it, like
you mumbling buffoon.
Yeah, like did they ever realize that they could jump Skeletor and beat the living shit out of this guy?
I mean, he was like the master of destruction, so you may not want to mess with that.
But
I'm pretty sure
for the trailer that we saw, I think I'm trying to get the basic gist of it. It looks like the power of Eternia is running out or something like that.
So basically magic is going away, so they have to go on this quest to save Eternia, because Eternia is a magical place. So
wasn't that the plot for that Disney movie with the blue people? I'm not knocking Kevin Smith, that's my boy, but what the hell that came out with the two brothers? I'm like, was it magic went away or whatever?
Onward.
I'm like, when I heard that, I was like, wasn't that the plot for Onward? But okay, let's just.
I guess this one's different only because, like, if magic goes away on Eternia, then it's going to go away on other planets, and then it's going to go away in galaxies, and then everything will be lost because of magic.
I'm sure once we start to see the show, it'll make more sense. The show
the
trailer gave me a lot of Game of Thrones vibes, and there's a lot of Game of Thrones peoples in the cast. What I mean by that is, like, unlike the original show, this one seems like it's going to be more, I won't say rated R, maybe PG-13. It looks like it's going to be a lot more violent than the original cartoon was.
Well, one, it's Netflix, and two, it's made by Powerhouse Studios. And do you remember what else that they made on Netflix?
Oh shit! No, what did they make?
Castlevania, sir.
Okay.
Violent.
So it's gonna be a lot more plain and simple. And the only thing I think
people are gonna get heads chopped off in this.
The only fucking gripe that I have, I think, with this is probably He-Man when he's Adam, because they're like, yo, he's mad stiff. When he's Adam, he looks like a crackhead. Like, hey guys, we gotta get this together, man. But I like the transformation they do though when he becomes He-Man, like when he put the sword up and the muscles, and then the armored plate on his chest kind of like formed like some Transformers type shit. Like that was pretty cool. Like I like that.
I want to say that this show also, in coming up with sort of a new concept, but it also ties into old, which is it looks like from the story trailer that during a battle with He-Man and Skeletor, that the sword of power gets what seems like it gets destroyed, but in actuality it gets split into two.
Right. Now, so I'm guessing that probably Skeletor is gonna wind up getting one half of the sword, and
I'm not sure. I think that it also may be one of those things where, because the show is called Masters of the Universe, it may also be one of those things, because there was rumors about like Teela being the star or becoming a He-Man or Master of the Universe,
like a bigger version of. I'm sure,
yeah, like a female, basically like a female version of He-Man or whatever in that sense. And
if it winds up being popular, I'm pretty sure that that they'll do some spin-offs, or they'll bring She-Ra into it or some other stuff. Even though there's already an awesome She-Ra show on Netflix, I don't know if this is canon to that, or they're gonna make their own in the future if this is successful. So
if this is successful, what Kevin Smith recently said, or at least what I think comicbook.com wrote an article about, was he is trying to see if he can make Masters of the Universe like an MCU style, series, which is great. Like, you can try to go across the universe of He-Man and Motu.
You're talking about the sorceress gonna show up in like Ninja Turtle land and be like, "You think you're the only heroes in the galaxy?"
I'm gonna tell you like this: if they could talk to one of my favorite artists, Freddie Williams III, if they can talk to him, because that genius artist is behind not only He-Man, one of the more recent, not the old one, but the more recent DC and He-Man crossover, Ninja Turtles crossover, as well as the one with was it He-Man and Thundercats.
Oh yeah, you're right. And then I don't remember. And the original, Kid Cringer talk? I don't remember. I don't remember. Yeah, that was his cat. I don't remember.
Yeah, Battle Cat can talk. Yeah. He was just a punk in the old one. He was like a real punk.
Yeah, I know he was like a punk until they transformed, and he's like this badass. But I don't remember. He could talk in the original.
Yeah, so you can talk in the original.
And you see in this version, the guy from Barry that played what the fuck is his name? Damn it, Stu. Is it Stu? I forgot the.
Oh, you're talking about the one that was his hit his agent.
That was his boy, and then winds up turning on that guy. He's the voice of Cringer.
I didn't know that. Wow, what a choice!
Oh, yeah, I can run down the cast for you, because I didn't know Kevin Conroy's on this show. He's Merman.
Yeah, I knew that. The wonderful Mark Hamill is playing Skeletor, which we got a chance to hear a little bit of Skeletor's laugh, but also like that kind of iconic Joker laugh as well.
Yeah, I was about to say that, like a Joker. We got Harley Quinn Smith playing Lena. We got Sarah Michelle Gellar playing Teela. Like this evil Lena Headey, and I know lots of people watching this know who Lena Headey is. If you've seen Game of Thrones, she played the queen of the scumbags, basically, on Game of Thrones. Great actress playing Evelyn. I feel like that was a perfect choice for Evelyn. And then Alicia Silverstone's playing Queen Marlena. I'm like, there's a lot of stars on this show.
They have a all-star cast for this show, so I think that this is definitely going to be. I'll say this, and I'll say it to him in person too, because I don't think he'll take it to offense. I personally feel like this is the next evolution of Kevin Smith's career, because he could also go and play with his own toys, and he probably still will within that realm. Yeah. But I'll be honest, I kind of feel like this is going to be his real first time at mainstream.
You mean like honestly. His phone might start ringing off the hook after this for other?
I feel like there's definitely gonna be some people who are gonna be like, he's already working on another project, which I have theories of what series that is, but I don't know if you checked out his the episode he was just talking about with Harley Quinn Smith. Him and Harley Quinn Smith are writing a show from another company that they're doing it, and there's like little things he was gonna say that would immediately give it away, so he couldn't say it.
I don't think they gave away what it is yet.
No, they didn't give away what it was.
He's writing something with his daughter, though.
My thought is that there's several different properties that they could work on together, And just based on like what they're doing, it just seems like there's just so many different ones. Like you can do Care Bears over again. You can like I know they currently have an incarnation of it, but not a sort of serious version.
What about the Garbage Pail Kids?
Oh, they were joking around about that, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm like, nobody's ever remade that, but like I literally was watching that the first, the only live action movie of the Garbage Pail Kids. I'm like, holy shit! Like this is a little time gem that time forgot about.
There's other ones, Strawberry Shortcake. You also have Rainbow Bright.
Rainbow Bright.
What was the other? Josie and the Pussycats. A couple different ones that they could work on together, and I could see them like.
I would love to see them do something rated R. Honestly, like
maybe
that just seems that seems more in his wheelhouse. Like if he was gonna.
But she's writing more of it, so maybe that's not the. I don't know. Maybe I can't wait to see whatever it is. But I'll say this to him when we meet him next week, for the umpteenth time or whatever. When we talk to him again.
Hey, this is the first time, man. This is the first time.
It feels like the first time every time, but
it feels like the
first time. Feels like the very first time. The last thing I'll say about that is like, yeah, I'm looking forward to He-Man, the trailers all the way up into this. When I've heard that Powerhouse Studios, shout out to them. When I heard they were working on this, I was just like, oh, okay. Because one thing I also say, I have
to go back and finish Castlevania. I never even finished. It's just so at one point, I feel like a few years back, at one point, there was barely that much content on TV between movies, and it's like, we're getting content, but it's not a lot. Now there's so much fucking content that I'm drowning in it, and I can't. Every time I'm trying to catch up with one show, I feel like you or somebody else is like, "Hey, did you check out this yet?" And I'm like, "No, please, no more shows, please. There's too many. I can't. There's too. I'm already trying to catch up on 5. There's 6 others I need to watch. Oh my god." So
personally, for me, I feel like, speaking of shows recommended, I actually did just shout out to a woman that I feel like I learned, like, I understand why the fan base is so deep for this lady, because she has now made 2 projects that were projects that when I heard about them, I didn't really believe that much in them, other than the fact that, like, oh, I think this person's cool, or, oh, it's a DC project. She's the voice of one of my favorite R-rated cartoons in the last, like, 2 years, which is Harley Quinn. And Kelly Cuoco is also the star of an HBO Max series that I literally just binged maybe 24 hours ago. And I binged all 8 episodes.
No spoilers for this.
Not spoiling anything of it, but it's a simple concept, and I believe it's based on a book. If not, then I have the book that might be based on the show. I'm not really sure which one came first, but the concept of the show is so simple. Of a alcoholic girl that's a flight attendant goes out on a date with a guy and has a wonderful night, a night of her life, and then wakes up the next morning and this nigga is dead in the bed next to her, like dead, like, I'm not faking, like, I'm not coming back, blood everywhere.
So I'm guessing that they had a good night and they wanted to sleeping together.
Correct. And she spent like a good half a day with this thing, like 12 hours. Like, she spent a good amount of time with him. So I don't know what happened, and then. For me,
that's like good. I would say that's like good writing right there, because they wanted the audience to go on this trip with her and spend time with this guy, get to know him a little bit. He's nice, this and that. Like, they wanted you to be like, oh shit.
This is not spoiling anything because it doesn't tell you anything about the story. I'm telling you, this literally doesn't spoil anything for you. But the one thing I didn't know about this show is the fact that it's also a dark comedy. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't know that part. Thanks for spoiling that, man. It's like,
it's a dark comedy in the sense that, like, when that happens, like, the guy who is dead is literally in the rest of the episodes, because, like, obviously if something traumatic happens to you, you'd have PTSD. So now literally for the rest of the show, he's with her, but he's in her head.
That's kind of like the other show I was telling you about on HBO Max, Search Party. You should check that out too. And if anybody else was listening, if you've seen Search Party, or check it out, because I guarantee you, if you watch, this is how I sell Search Party. Watch the first 2 minutes of the first episode, and you'll be hooked. That's like, cause I was.
And I'll check it out. I will check it out.
And not to mention the fucking like the opening intro song. It's so hypnotic. That shit will capture you too. Cause I'm like
sitting there dancing like
episode 3. I felt myself sitting there like.
Let's do it. Oh yeah. No, but yeah. that I think that was the concept that sold me on it, because if it was just like a murder mystery, who done it, it's comedy in the sense of like it's comedy like Barry. Like Barry isn't intended to be funny, but it's fucking hilarious in that sense of like this stuff that's happening. Because it'd be like,
speaking of that too, which is also on HBO Max, I'm like, I can't wait till we get a 3rd season of Barry, so we can.
I gotta catch up. I have to I watched both seasons, because that's another. I have a problem when it comes to streaming stuff, which is if the show is good, I might just watch the 2 seasons in a whole sitting.
Like I said, about a shit ton of content. We got Barry to look forward to when they finish wrapping that. Don't forget about Cobra Kai. And then Flight Attendant got renewed for another season. So another season's coming.
Yeah, there's definitely gonna be another season.
I'm like, it's great. And then the other chick that plays, I think I haven't watched the show yet, but I think there's a girl that plays like her best friend or whatever.
Yep.
She was on another HBO show called Girls that I don't know if you ever watched that.
Really?
Show.
Oh, she's interesting. Yeah, she has a very like Jean Garofalo style comedy in this show, which is just like, oh, really? That's what you're gonna do? You can go fuck yourself. Like that. Yeah, that's the kind of
even comedy. The stuff I saw from the trailer. Her character is similar to her character that was on Girls. Like that's another show you should check out. I always describe Girls as like sort of Sex in the City, but with younger chicks. Offense.
Or it's a more modern Sex in the City.
Yeah, more modern Sex in the but with younger chicks, because Carrie and all them on the other show, they're older women, and these
older 50-year-old women like
these are some ass. And Girls is more, they're like 20-something-year-olds.
Makes sense. That totally night and day experience in that regard. But
and another movie, one last what do you call it? Thing I wanted to mention just before we wrap it all up too is Candyman, because I'm not gonna say that again, because I just Candyman when I saw a fly on my speaker was like they released another trailer, and I believe that comes out very soon too. So I'm still
in August.
Very much looking forward to that. Like I'm still like, is Tony Todd in the movie?
Tony Todd is in the movie.
Or is the Black Mantis dude? Because I never remember this actor's name. I always just refer to him as Black Mantis. Like, or is the Black Mantis dude ultimately gonna become the new Candyman? That's what I'm.
So basically, in the way that this is pitched so far, it looks like Yaya is going to become our modern day Candyman. So it's basically going to be the spirit of Candyman is going to continue to move on.
So basically he's gonna try to take over this guy's body, basically.
In essence, yeah. He's gonna take over him, and literally we're gonna get a series of movies. Hopefully we don't get a lot of direct.
So if that's the case, I already know what type of ending I would want for this movie. I would want the same ending from, what the hell was that movie? It was the movie that the guy that created Saw made. What was it called? Was it Hardwire? The movie.
Yeah. Where it was like the dude had like a machine in him. Yeah.
And then like it didn't have the ending you thought. It was like the machine basically kind of won in the end. So I'm hoping maybe it's the same way where like, you think he overcame and like Candyman got him, like, oh shit type of thing. And let's face it, the best horror movies are the ones where they have a fucking bad ending, when you think it was good but it's bad.
I agree with that. I think that definitely when the villain drag me to hell. In the title. She's standing there on the train station like, oh, I got away.
Oh my god, that was a horrific ending. And then there was another movie with Kiefer Sutherland. I forget the fucking name of it. It was like with mirrors and shit, but something. But anyway, it had a bad ending because he thought he beat the demon or whatever at the end, only to discover he was still trapped in the other fucking world. I thought that was kind of fucking hilarious.
Like, horror movies rarely do. Even like The Conjuring doesn't always have like it. The Conjuring to me feels like these guys are trapped in a horror world and they just survive each movie. Like that's what it seems like to me. Like they just literally survive and what? Because actually, if I remember correctly, this movie that just came out, the Devil Within, I don't think it's the concept.
No, The Devil Made Me Do It.
Oh, The Devil Made Me Do It. I'm sorry. The Devil Made Me Do It. I want to say that it's a prequel and not a. Have you watched it?
Yeah, I watched it.
I don't think is it a prequel or is it a
I don't think it's a prequel. I think it's just showing you like more journeys that the couple went on.
Because in my opinion, I thought he got taken over by the lady in black in like the first movie.
Was that the same movie? Now that's what I thought.
Yeah. Because remember there was a movie where he like got taken over and he like choked his wife and like.
No, but I think that's a different movie though. I think that was Insidious.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, it's just the same. It's just some of the same actors. Yeah, some of the same actors are in the movies, and they all have such a similar tone. They all have such a similar tone that you think it's the same movie. I thought the same thing. I was like,
"Oh God!" I'm sitting there. I'm like, "Wait, how is he still alive? I thought he got taken over." But yeah, you're right. Okay. I'm like, "Oh wait, because Insidious has sequels or no?"
Yeah, Insidious had a sequel. They made they made like 2 sequels to it.
Okay, I'm like, but it's not in the Conjuring universe. I
don't think it is. Now I have to do my homework on that. That part I don't remember.
You say acting like we don't have Google. You know, you could just simply Google it.
Remember the lady? My internet's acting wonky on my other laptop.
Oh crap! Oh, is the internet going down, guys?
Didn't pay the bills, so I learned stuff.
That could be the case.
But yeah, I believe it was the other lady. What was it? The other lady that was like the ghost hunter or whatever. I believe she might have known the couple. I don't know. It's been so many fucking movies. I don't even remember anymore.
I got to check. Yeah, Insidious is a part of that. But in essence, we'll that'll be something we'll answer, in due time. But in wrapping up the show. We just recapping everything. We talked about Loki episode 4. We're looking forward to episode 5, which is hopefully going to answer some more complete. For the love of God,
I think we're getting down to the nitty gritty. We're getting down to the nitty gritty.
I feel like at this point, I'm glad that the 4th ended the way that the 4th did, but at the same time, I also kind of feel like we need to be getting to that direction of this ending. Because I know that there's been rumors of a second season, but I don't want the first season of Loki to be a setup for the second season. I would prefer
I think it would be more like a setup for the movie, like a setup for another movie, and then we'll get a second season. Because if we get a second season, just means that he gets to stay alive.
For me, it's interesting too with Marvel. Just talking about them for a second. This is a big year for them. Suicide Squad comes out, and that's DC in August, and that's it.
Honestly, I think that one's gonna do well. That's just me. So far,
I agree.
So far, I think it looks super fun. It actually looks, and I also keep thinking about the fact that the title, The Suicide Squad. I think that a shit ton of the people that we're gonna see are gonna die because, first off, they just released the Funko Pops, and there's several characters that they didn't make a pop of, and I feel like it's probably because they don't make it through the fucking maybe even halfway through the movie.
I'm just saying, like it definitely can be a part. Like it could definitely. Oh yeah, they made 3. I'm sorry, I was still looking up Insidious. They made 3 of them.
Yeah, they made 3 of them. I know Rose Byrne, because Patrick Wilson plays Rose Byrne's husband in the Insidious.
No, I'm sorry, 4. It was 4.
Oh, so that's how I knew that he wasn't. It wasn't The Conjuring, because I know he plays her husband in that one. He's Josh Lambert, and she's Renee Lambert.
You're right. Sorry, I was just like, I guess they just were so similar. But yeah, I would say that Marvel in general in my opinion, has secretly slid into this year of movies and TV like a creeper into a good-looking girl's DMs. Like, I don't know what the hell happened, but you realize that like almost throughout this year, there's only been like 1 month, which was I think May, that we didn't have anything for Marvel. Like they took like a little break, like after Falcon and Winter Soldier. They took that little break. But then next thing, you got Loki.
I think after Black Widow, we get another break in August. I don't think there's anything in August for Marvel.
What If?
Oh, that's in August.
That's August. Then you got Shang-Chi. Then you got Hawkeye. Then you got Eternals. And then you got
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. I'm not sure if Miss Marvel is still scheduled for this year. I think that got pushed, but I think
that got pushed into next year because God knows, I'm sure we don't even know what's coming out. And not only just with Marvel, but Disney in general doing the damn thing. Because I still remember that they got shows lined up even past Marvel. Like remember they still giving a animated new show to the chick from Princess and the Frog. She getting her own show, and they got, and then Monster, another one they just threw at us that I didn't even see coming at all. A TV show continuation of Monsters Inc.
Monsters at Work.
I'm like, with Billy Crystal and John Goodman. I'm like, yo, I saw the interview where they were being interviewed on, I think it was Seth Meyers. I'm like, yo, where did this even come from? Like, I didn't even know that they were doing this at all. And they got you with the nostalgia because when I was watching the trailer, it was like, oh yeah, they were talking about laughter instead of like making kids scared. I'm like, so they're continuing it from the last movie. That is insane, man. I'm telling you. But that's where they started. But that's where they get us. They get us with the nostalgia. And like I said, the formula that never fails is consistency. You get the same actors and like, continue on with the same story, you good to go.
That just makes sense. You're not trying to recreate the wheel, as opposed to you're just going deeper into something. Marvel is like I said this before, and I'll say it again. Marvel is a perfect example of what they did with this was build the world out, let the world get to a certain point. Now that the world is suspended in space, now we go back into it, and then we go through the crevices of each part of the world, and we go in, hey, what was it like for Hank Pym when he was young? Did he meet some villains that we didn't know exist right now?
Later on he'll connect with some other villains.
It's like all of this stuff. It's basically that's their essence of building a universe, and they're doing the same thing with Pixar, Star Wars. Like pretty much at this point, Disney, when you go on the Disney Plus app and you look at those little icons, these icon Pixar, this is their worlds, and this is the worlds that they're going to allow you to live in. Now, again, just like the comics I talked about earlier, you don't have to subscribe to all of them. They're not asking you to. There will be people for those things. Like, you can not be a part of those things, and it's just fine. Pick your poison.
Let's face it, man, though. They get us. They got me so many times already. I'm like, look at me. So I'm subscribed. I said I was just going to do the free trial with HBO Max. I had HBO Max for like almost a year now. Like Disney Plus. I'm probably just going to watch the Marvel shows. I don't watch half the damn shows. They get us. Like sometimes they make so much content. It's impossible for you to not find one thing and be like, well, that's pretty interesting. It's like, it's impossible. I don't care who you are. There's no way you can go on any Paramount, Disney, any of those apps and not be like, I couldn't find anything that interests. Okay, then you're just not a human.
I would say a lot of those places are rough in the beginning. I would say that those are the rough. I can tell you a member of this show, Queen of the Universe. I didn't know she had Paramount Plus until I just happened to mention it. Like, damn, my show Evil that I watched the whole season of, I think on Netflix or Hulu, The second season is only on Paramount Plus. She's like, oh, I have that. And I'm looking like, you have that? Like, wait, what do you mean you have that? Yeah, my daughter wanted to watch SpongeBob and she couldn't find it anywhere else. And it had all of the SpongeBob on Paramount Plus. I'm like,
that,
really?
or like they have the new Rugrats. Like, yeah, like it's almost like a horror movie. They'll get you at some point. They'll get you.
It's literally just entertainment.
Look,
like you find
and when it comes to Disney, they'll get you and they'll get your kids too. Like
make it creepy, like we want everyone.
Channel is literally designed for everyone. It's like, and then diversity. It's super diverse. I mean, look at the stuff that's another thing to look at the stuff that Disney got continuous coming with Shang-Chi and Miss Marvel, and they getting all of us. We want everybody's money.
And I'm happy. I'm very happy to just open my wallet and just go, hey, here you go.
Yeah, I actually told Jill that the other day. I was like, you know what? With Marvel and all of the, like the Masters of the Universe, all this stuff, I'm gonna just change. You know how you get direct deposit from your job, and I'm gonna just change my direct deposit and just send it straight to the company. You know what? I'm gonna just send the check straight to them because like I'm just here for all the content.
Yeah, you know what? Just take that money.
Like, just go ahead and take it. You know what? Take it in advance. That way, you taking annual payments. I ain't got to worry about it at all.
I'm happy that this stuff exists. It's a interesting time to be alive because of this. The content that we have. Like you said, we're literally all drowning in content. I kind of pick and choose the different things that I'll watch, but is there something to watch? Yes, there's always something to watch. There's never a time it's like,
because you know what happens. You know what happens is the second that you get to a point where you're like, I think I watched everything, then I'll call you, or somebody else will call you like, hey, if you watched this, if you checked out that, now you got more content and stuff to watch.
Literally, you said that, and I was thinking to myself, like, what? Just giving some recommendations of stuff to watch. I definitely would say 3 things. Flight Attendant, Dave, which is on Hulu.
Oh, yeah, I gotta watch season 2 of that one. Yeah,
if you're into anime,
if you're an anime fan, I still said The Promised Neverland was another show that I
didn't finish that.
That one and Demon Slayer, because I'm like, I done got so invested in Demon Slayer, I ordered the fucking mangas. I ordered like the whole set. I'm like, I need to know everything about this show. I don't think I ever liked it.
Hey, Ronnie, I'm gonna whisper something to you here. So there's this thing called Shonen Jump that costs $2 a month. That can do all of that.
But I like to have the physical. I'm old school. I need the physical. Not to mention,
why you acting like you can read? What are you talking about?
Hey man, listen, I just learned, all right? Like, instead of taking my iPad or my to the park or something, I'd like to take a nice good book.
So what he actually said is, I'm gonna get these books just so I can point in the corner to a box that has the mangas and go, I have the mangas.
They're like, they wind up being like my footrest.
Yeah, it's like, did you read them? I have the mangas.
Like, I have the mangas. Oh. They're over there. The design box is so awesome.
If you put all the books together, they form a picture. And I'm like, right, you have the mangas. I heard you the first. I personally have, and this is a unsolicited or unpaid advertisement for the Shonen Jump app. I was against it at first because I know, just like many manga readers, you can read most of this stuff online somewhere on somebody's website for free. But I do appreciate the fact that Shonen Jump, the guys who put this out weekly and over in Japan, have decided to jump into the Netflix game and has just taken almost all the mangas and just said, here. And it's like, I'm not doing that. It's only $2 a month. Go on. It's like $2. I'm like, $2 a month? One manga in America is $10.
You know what's funny? I think I'm like, that's one thing that I've been consistent in, where you always tell me about all the apps and stuff, and I'm like, I'm gonna buy the physical copy. I've been like that for years. I'm like, I don't know. I just like to own especially if it's a book I wound up liking, I like to own the physical copy. Maybe it's because of signings and meet and greets. I think that's why I'm a physical person, because then I can at some point get the trade or whatever signed.
It makes sense. Some things you just have to, if for artistic reasons you choose to, like the same reason why we both still buy physical comic books. And I'm kind of getting to the point now. I'm like, shit, I buy a lot of comic books weekly now. Like as a grown adult with money, like you can actually buy the physical books and go to your local comic book shop and support them, which I recommend that you do.
But at the same time, sometimes you look at your collection and you're like, ay. Like there's a lot of stuff.
Dude, right over here, outside of the camera, giant long boxes right here, just sitting there. And I'm have I read this stuff?
I mean, that's why I don't do stuff like collect toys, because that can get out of hand if you're like
can be a bit of a problem.
Yeah, especially with the little Funko Pops. Woo! These little Funko boys.
Nobody wants
actually,
drugs.
Actually, I should have the Captain America Sam Wilson, not the Falcon.
No, it's fine. Listen, everybody, you got to remember his past before we look at his present or whatever. With that said, I am Markell, and this is going to be the end of this show. I'm so glad you guys tuned in once again and listened to this. Thank you so much for
our ramble. Make sure to hit that wonderful like and subscribe button wherever
Please
it may
be. It will most likely be on somewhere within the vicinity of. If you're watching this I also realize that too. If you're watching this full screen, you're probably not going to see it. So when you actually like come out of it, you're on the little YouTube app and you're seeing the page and everything, you'll see a subscribe button there, or just click on our icon, our little Ronnie and Markell Make a Podcast icon.
And make sure to leave a nice, wonderful little comment for me, like, oh my God, Ronnie, you're like just so handsome.
It doesn't have to be nice, we just
it doesn't have to be. You want people to be like, fuck you guys, stop doing this show, it's stupid.
What I will say is, if you choose to do that, I will find you.
I will find you.
Signing off. This is once again Markell. Happy trails. Make sure that you eat your prayers and say your vitamins.
And we'll see you on the next show.